So today I'd like to tell you about one of my comfort movies. I understand that describing Steven Soderbergh's Contagion as a comfort movie is absolutely deranged, completely unhinged, and I understand that some people, maybe most people, will not be able to see it that way. I get it. But still, I'd like to take a closer look at this movie to hopefully untangle why I find this film to be so compelling. I guess we can start with the obvious, with the parallels between the events of this 2011 film and the real-life happenings of the 2020 COVID pandemic. 2020 and beyond, yeah? At a glance, we have a lot of similarities, with a previously unknown disease that's highly contagious taking the world by surprise. The infection is airborne and it spreads by sneezing and human touch. It is worth noting though that this fictional illness, MEV1, is a lot more dangerous than COVID. MEV1. It takes hold of the body much quicker, has a faster incubation period, and a much higher mortality rate. The movie takes place over the course of around 130 days, 135 I think, during which 30 million people die. That's a lot of people. The end of the COVID pandemic is obviously not as unanimous as the end of a film. It happened in stages and it wasn't synchronous across the world, but it's still interesting to compare the two and find out what the movie is trying to tell us. One of the key features of the movie is its all-star ensemble cast. The film features excellent performances from Lawrence Fishburne, Kate Winslet, Bryan Cranston, and many more, who illuminate different aspects of the world struck by MEV1. Gwyneth Paltrow plays Beth, who is patient zero, Marion Cotillard, a WHO epidemiologist, and so on, and we get to see the different psychological responses to a worldwide pandemic like this, different strategies for survival. There's this character who's a teenage girl, and she can't go to prom, right, because it's in the middle of all this, and even though this is a very minor problem, if you can even call it that, in the grand scheme of things, I felt for her, you know. I feel like the people who missed out on those crucial socialization periods in real life had it among the worst during the COVID pandemic. In its scope, the film reminds me of World War Z, the book, not the movie. It shows the same events from different perspectives, each with their own plot. Some of them connect and some of them don't, but they all speak on the same issues. In films, this is what's called hyperlink cinema, a term coined in 2005 by writer Alyssa Quart. It comes from the cross-pollination of practices so common in postmodernism. This style of analysis examines the horizontal experience of human life, as opposed to the vertical experience of history, tradition, and biography. In simple terms, they refuse to tell the story of a protagonist in favor of a more holistic, collective narrative. So some stories, like Contagions, which spread across the wide breadth of human experience, class, race, gender, are really well suited for this narrative style. A good reflection is the art cover for the soundtrack. It points to the underlying human truth between our cultural differences, the fear and anxiety, and how those forces push us together. That said, the movie is still fascinated with some more traditional storytelling values. It retains some value of the idea of individualism. The people we follow matter for a reason. If Beth hadn't visited her ex-lover, if Sussman hadn't disregarded official orders and kept working on producing a cell culture, the story still holds on to the idea that the actions of individual people matter and that we are able to make a difference. The movie acts as a bridge between two ideas. One, that we are small and powerless against an event like this, and two, that our individual actions matter. Personal responsibility. Not all of us will change the course of history, most of us won't. But while we can't change or influence the tide, what we can do is create ripples that impact those closest to us. So in a way, a narrative like this works to shine a light on the different attitudes that we usually see in films. Watching this movie feels like looking at humanity through a kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope? Values become fractured and disoriented, and any semblance of heroism or aesthetic rapture or success happens almost entirely by accident. People are flawed, and when you look at them from a distance, things stop making a lot of sense. A character like Kate Winslet is a perfect example of this. She spends all of her time at ground level, compiling a list of people who might be infected from the beginning. She guides them through their worries, she advises on their immediate actions, and even though she's incredibly careful, she catches the disease. In a typical Hollywood film, she would be the hero that bests the unbeatable odds, manages to contain the virus, and returns home to her family. But here, she suffers a nameless death, like thousands before her. And even though her actions were invaluable in tracking the spread of the disease and setting up care and vaccination centers, her death did not stop those of the millions that followed after. In a way, this movie equates heroism with responsibility. It's not grandstanding, it's not a definite stance against fate or a masterful gambit. It's small and quiet. It affects only the people closest to you, and it can only be found if you go looking for it. Now, there's something revelatory about the COVID pandemic that's interesting to retroactively analyze this movie through: the conspiracy theory. Jude Law plays an independent reporter who is decidedly anti-vax, anti-establishment, and allegedly Australian.
Yes, I am a writer. Yes, I am.
Blogging is not writing, it's graffiti with punctuation.
Even though he's a conspiracy theorist, he is decently well informed, and his paranoia only goes so far as to claim that the vaccine is not really necessary. He claims to have been cured by a natural compound called forsythia. So although he sees ulterior motives behind the CDC and the WHO, he never questions the reality of the disease itself. He and Matt Damon play the characters of the everyman. So we've been over Jude Law, but Matt Damon's character doesn't offer too much divergence in his opinion either. He is Gwyneth Paltrow's husband, he's the spouse to patient zero, and he loses his stepson to the disease as well. It would be impossible for him to deny the existence or mortality of MEV1. I guess what I'm saying is that it'd be interesting to see the perspective of a denier. Someone uninformed who hasn't seen the damage up close, a non-believer who refuses to think the disease is what governments claim, someone who thinks the fate of the world is decided by a handful of people and not by random chance. That said though, I don't think in 2011 we had any idea how political a pandemic like COVID would become. And part of me wonders that maybe, if the timeline in real life was as accelerated as the one in the film, maybe we wouldn't have enough time to fall into conspiracy theory. Now, let's get back to my original point. How can this movie about millions of deaths be considered a comfort movie? Well, again, because I am deranged. But maybe there is a grain of truth there. The movie insists on being hopeful. It never lingers on the particular costs of the journey to mass vaccination, whether it's a death or a crime or even the discovery of the vaccine. The movie soldiers on. It reminds me of a police drama like High and Low, where the plot follows each step closely. It's procedural, algorithmic, presenting puzzles and offering the answers soon after. People never stop fighting, and they hold on to what little hope they have in the face of mass extinction. The movie treads the line between these two: hope and despair, ambition and extinction. It's a story about people being in the wrong place at the wrong time and the worldwide battle to fix the aftermath. It is a thrill to watch, and it ends in a decidedly environmental note. In a stroke of genius, the film wraps up by recounting the events of day one, the incident that caused it all. All the calamity came about by blind chance, and that is chilling to think about. Whoever wrote the Wikipedia plot summary went off on the last paragraph, so I'd like to read it to you. In a flashback to the spillover event, a bulldozer from Beth's company cleared a tree in China, disturbing bats, including one that took shelter at a pig farm and dropped an infected banana piece that a pig consumed. The pig is slaughtered and prepared by a chef in a Macau casino, who, without washing his hands, transmitted the virus to Beth via a handshake. Ooh, so good, man, so good.